Alright, so with the new season coming up, Heavy Metal, there's going to be a lot of new players coming in, especially in the city. I've been dragging more people into Siege, and what I've noticed as we get more people coming in is that there's a lot of terms that we use in Siege that are really, really simple and common for the long-time players who've been playing for, 2 or 3 seasons at a minimum now. But to a new player, they sound like fucking gibberish, especially if they're coming from games that don't have these terms. So this is going to be a really quick, non-comprehensive sort of, here's this term, here's what it means. Here's this term, here's what it means. Like, it's just going to be a quick and simple, here's the terms. It's quick, it's simple. It's not meant to be like an in-depth guide. It's literally just, if you're new to the game, here's what this term means. So the first term I want to go over is a crossfire. What a crossfire is it's a more passive thing where you've got a door or a position like this where an enemy has to go through, and you're right there, and you've got a friend completely other side. The point of a crossfire is one of you is probably going to die, but the enemy cannot kill both of you. It's impossible. Like, you can't just... That's not a thing anyone's going to do. So, if anyone says, like, hold across, you're going to, position yourself like this and hold the angle. And your friend's going to be, over here where my other alibi is, and hold there. And when the enemy comes through the door, one of you is going to get that kill. So that's a crossfire. One person holding here, one person holding here. Enemy can't shoot both. It's pretty simple. It's pretty common. The next term I want to go over is a pinch, which is a more active, a more aggressive version of a crossfire. With a crossfire, you're both holding this one angle, waiting for the enemy to push. With a pinch, you're pushing on an enemy and kind of, literally pinching on them. So I've got my friend downstairs, right there. The enemy's there, and I'm up here. We're not holding across. They can come up or down and get either of us. What a pinch means is both you and your friend are going to push the enemy at the same time. So the enemy has to fight either you up top, or the enemy has to fight your friend at the bottom. It's pretty common on sites that have, stairs like this. Canal's another one that comes to mind. So yeah, a crossfire is the really passive, hold the angle kind of thing. But a pinch is a more aggressive, it's literally you're pinching on this enemy and closing in on them. Alright, the next simple term is going to be holding an angle. I feel like that one's self-explanatory, but I will still explain it. Holding an angle means that you are literally just going to stare at one angle. That's it. If someone calls hold meeting door, this is what you're going to be doing for like a solid 30 seconds, minute, until someone tells you to look somewhere else or until they peek. Holding an angle is one of the most basic things you're going to be doing in Siege. It's literally just hold the angle, have your crosshair there. Because it's easier for you to have your crosshair here and just shoot as a reaction than for an enemy to have to swing the door and then notice you and then line up their shot. Holding an angle means that you're going to have the advantage when the enemy actually peeks, because you're already aimed. You've got one less step you need to do, which is the aiming part. You just have to react in time. So yeah, that's holding an angle. Super simple. And there's a few kinds of angles you can hold. The first one is called a cutoff. Basically what it means is if you have, if your team is in A site and you've got B secured, like the only way the enemy can come through is here. When you play an angle like this is a cutoff, because the enemy cannot cross this lane whatsoever without dealing with you first, which you're already holding the angle. So if they come up, these red stairs, they have to turn and face you on this side, away from sight, to actually, get into sight. Or alternatively, if they're going to come through gallery over here, you've got this cutoff. They cannot come through red hall without dealing with you. So a cutoff is a pretty passive but pretty significant part of playing Siege. The next term regarding angles is called vertical, or playing vertical, which if you've seen any gameplay of Siege, you know that Siege has, destructible floors, destructible walls, and playing vertical means that you are breaking these floors and playing through the floorboards. Like, if they've got an enemy who's playing on this wall downstairs in pantry, I always call it freezer, you can come up here, break the floors, and now you are playing vertical above the guy down there who now has to look at another angle. Vertical is another essential thing to get used to in Siege, because, vertical is pretty strong. It's one of the things that Siege has that other shooters don't, and once you learn how to play vertical, your skill level will just skyrocket because people forget vertical's a thing. The last angle worth noting is called Pixel, which it is the one that you're gonna probably think is bullshit up until you start doing them. Pixel is basically, you're holding an angle, which is really fucking hard to hit you with. Like, look at, there's the reinforced wall here, there's the little pantry shelf here, there's the littlest pixel that I, as the attacker, have to hit to do anything. But from the Pixel player's point of view, they have a lot of space to work with here. Basically, Pixel is literally, you've got the littlest pixel that the enemy has to hit, but you've got pretty free range of motion. And Pixel's some bullshit. So next good term to know is called swing, and swing is a pretty common one you're going to hear from your team. Basically, it means that you've got like a doorway or some kind of corner here, and usually the enemy's behind it. What swing means is you're literally going to come through and just swing around the angle. Like, you're literally just going to swing it and hope that whoever's playing behind here doesn't know you're there. And swing is pretty common because you're going to be doing a lot of that. You want to really aggressively take space, you're going to, you know, swing. It's pretty good to know what swinging is and how to swing it. Like, if you've got someone playing back of sight, you can swing them. It's literally just an aggressive go through the door and hope that the enemy's not ready for you. Related to swinging, and I am so sorry if I create more jump out, run out players for this. The next term related to swinging is jumping out or running out, which basically, at the start of the match, you've got these barricades that keep you from going outside, but if you hear an enemy is like outside repelling, you can just jump out really quick, preferably before the game says you're outside, and literally just jump out and catch someone off guard. Newer players will lose to this a lot. Experienced players will be ready for it and then still lose to it. Yeah, jump outs are annoying. Jump outs are the reason you bring, you know, claymores on attack. It's the reason you clear angles. Why did my phone just go off? Nothing important. And then, related to swinging, there's going to be a really common call called close. Either close left or close right. Close basically means that they are playing as close to the wall as humanly possible. Because if you're just trying to clear the room, and they're all the way over here, they're probably going to be the very last thing you see if you see them. So, if you hear a call close left or close right, you want to try to hit as close to the wall as human. You're basically entering the room, you know, gun first like this. You're entering perpendicular to the wall. And the last two calls I have are just common, like every map's going to use them. These are just like universal location calls. One of them is external, which means that there's a wall that you have that literally leads outside. And 99% of the time, you're going to want to reinforce external. Because if the enemy has some kind of wall that they can use to get into the building with little to no resistance, honestly, then, you know, reinforce unless your team has some wacky strat. And the last location call and the last common call I want to go over is breach, which is basically if the enemy has, you know, breached a wall anywhere, preferably an external wall, you're going to hear the call breach a lot. Like if they had a thermite break this open, you know, thermite's over here, you're going to hear a call like left of breach because they're playing left of where they breached. There's no universal call for where breach is. Breach is literally just where they broke the wall. And yeah, that's a really non-comprehensive sort of new player aimed sort of guide to calls. Just a few. There's a million calls. There's map calls. There's play calls. There's positional calls. I'm going over the bare fucking minimum. I'm going over the minimum that a new player would really like to know. Like swinging, holding a cross, playing pixel, etc., etc. And yeah, peace.